Hey guys, Bitcoin Owen here. MSCI, Morgan Stanley Capital Indexes, has decided to not exclude Bitcoin treasury companies. That's the news of today anyway, folks. MSCI are not going to exclude Bitcoin treasury companies like Strategy and one or two others. There's about 10 or 20 of them now, I think, at this stage. That's good news for Bitcoin because Bitcoin has been struggling lately. The price is 30% off of its all-time high of 125, and the news that MSCI are not going to exclude Bitcoin is positive. Bitcoin is probably the biggest invention, basically. That's why it's taking these big investors, the Wall Street analysts and people who manage money, basically. That's why it's taking them so long to decide on what to do about Bitcoin. Basically, they don't know how to handle it. The existing infrastructure, we'll say, banking infrastructure, investment infrastructure, does not allow many of these money managers and fund managers to buy Bitcoin directly and hold it take self-custody of it, we'll say, hold it on a hardware wallet. They're not allowed to do that, so they have to find other ways. And the other way then is Morgan Stanley also announced yesterday that they're going to start an ETF, a spot Bitcoin ETF, which will hold real Bitcoin in the fund, and that's another positive development as well for Bitcoin. All of the news, every news item that comes out is positive for Bitcoin these days. It's very difficult to do anything, but I couldn't stop Bitcoin if I tried. There's nobody in the whole world that could stop Bitcoin. No individual, we'll say, that could stop Bitcoin. There's too many ways. It's just so difficult to stop it. It wouldn't be practicable, basically, to try and stop it. Putin knows he can't stop it. Trump knows he can't stop it. Trump has even said that if we don't do Bitcoin, the Chinese will. So Trump views it as a race, basically, and Morgan Stanley, MSCI are up to speed on all those all that information, and they've decided that it would be against their own best interest. It would not be in their best interest, we'll say, to exclude Bitcoin treasury companies like Strategy from their indexes, from the S&P 500, we'll say. This is the one that was really in focus, the S&P 500, because Strategy were included there, I think, in the fall of last year, and their stock price has fallen a bit lately, and they're at risk of falling out of the S&P 500 now, I think. But it's good news anyway for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is decentralized. Bitcoin is impossible to stop. That's why it's impossible to stop, because it's decentralized. You couldn't say that about XRP, basically, because XRP is centralized around the Ripple Corporation and your man, whatever his name is, Brad Garlinghouse, is it? Is that his name, the fellow that's the CEO of Ripple? XRP is centralized, Solana is centralized, Ethereum is dependent on Vitalik Buterin, and one or two. Lubka is another one that's a name that comes to mind when it comes to Ethereum. They're all centralized and they can all be stopped, but Bitcoin cannot be stopped because it's decentralized. And it wouldn't be. Bitcoin was launched before all of these altcoins were launched, and that's why there's no catching Bitcoin. On the decentralization front, or on any front, price, decentralization, market cap, characteristics. I know Bitcoin has 10-minute blocks and you could be waiting 10 minutes to have your transaction processed, but we have Lightning now, and Lightning brings fast, cheap and private transactions to Bitcoin. They've also taken on board the Tether stablecoin lately. They're going to the Lightning Network the Lightning Network can be used to transfer Tether, basically, and that makes a big difference to Tether. But Tether is only going to expedite and speed up the adoption of Bitcoin. There's no catching Bitcoin in terms of adoption either. Bitcoin is far more widely adopted than Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Litecoin, Veritasium, EOS, Pay token, all those tokens that ripped me off basically and took my Bitcoin and gave me back nothing in return. But I would suggest to anybody who's considering investing, the Bitcoin is the only one to invest, and MSCI confirmed that yesterday with their decision to not exclude strategy and the other Bitcoin treasury companies from their indexes. Like, share and subscribe, guys, as always. All the best. See you tomorrow.